In 1956, Gordon Max visited the Wapiti country in Fiordland for his first time. Gordon is an honorary member of the Nelson branch of the New Zealand Deerstalkers Association. I wanted to retrace his steps and walk amongst those same wild horizons, and this video gives some small insight to that trip.
How's that sound? Yeah. So how long have you two been?
More or less intact, but actually got the treat with this.
That was because of
Easter's nearly on us. We drove all that night, and
most of the next day probably
yes,
as well.
It was getting on towards evening when we finally pulled into Tianau.
So it was a two-day trip.
Yeah.
Taking turns, sitting and bouncing in amongst the gear in the back to get to Tianau.
It was a bit bouncy because a lot of the roads in those days weren't sealed. Basic fire going, split up even the green birch. If you split it up fine enough, it would burn, especially if you dried it on the rack.
Well, it was really good to leave the glaze knock yesterday and follow Gordon Max and his colleagues
up through the Henderson Gorge and along some Wapiti leads, and up here into the headwaters of the Henderson. Great to see animals out in the open yesterday evening, much like it would have been for Gordon on his classic hunting adventure. Hey, it's warm, eh? Tell me that story then of you at the Edith saddle, Gordon. You said you
Edith saddle has always been the centre of my recollections and my reliving. It always takes pride of place because it had such an important meaning to us. One of the loneliest times I had, where I'm not ashamed to say I got homesick, was a full moon night, clear, lovely clear sky, an old lonely mawpaw, and he was
hooting away,
hooting his heart out,
yeah.
And with the moon, and I was thinking to myself, what am I doing here? It seemed to bring out a desire to be home with my family.
Did you find that, Gordon? I find that too. When you're at home, you can't wait to get into the hills, and when you're in the hills after a few days, you can't wait to get home.
I don't mind. Never used to worry me for up to a week or so. And we were camped there, and we could see a front rolling in from further down the Edith. I don't know where it came from, but and as it got nearer us, it turned into an electrical storm.
Yeah, pretty violent one.
Oh, it was, because we seemed to be in it. And
just under canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would come in and have violent squalls of rain. And you know how normally you like to see a flash of lightning and you count to see how
close it is.
The thunder.
Yeah.
we were getting it simultaneously. The lightning flashes and the thunder, and oh boy, I wondered what on earth. There we were, at least 2 days away from even the mouth of the Glazenock.
And it rolls up those valleys, don't it? It just booms off the sides.
It came back down again.
Oh.
It made several passes over us. It was the most eerie and...
It's trying to scare you off, Gordon.
dear. Yeah. Finally, like all things, it passed. I have to say that my years in the mountains and in the backcountry have given me an opportunity, as I've seen the wonder of the mighty rimu tree, the wonder of the wild gorges, the wonder of the magnificent alpine valleys. To me, couldn't help but tell me that there was a master hand behind all this beautiful creation. And once you allow yourself to acknowledge that there had to be a hand behind the creation, it's a short step to go to believing in a personal creator. And
well, I'm sitting here with in the Edith saddle camp. It's a Fiordland day. I'm sitting here with some of the relics of days gone by, and yeah, I'm thinking of Gordon Maxon here for several weeks at a time, and all the conditions that Fiordland can throw at you, as you've seen in the video. Beautiful sunshine and this kind of weather where it's a matter of survival.
A lot of hunters use the cave rock as a base, and just, but they didn't really go very far. When I used to give talks on it, I used to emphasise that, I suppose they were still there, but there were big poles, birch poles on from the ground up onto the actual overhang itself. And it used to be for putting drying lines and that in, but I told my listeners that just to make sure it didn't collapse, they were toms.
So they thought that the poles were holding the rock up.
They thought the poles were tomming the rock up. Got into my sack, and I had a little 2-cell torch, and I wasn't sleeping very well, and I got my torch out to have a look at it. For some unknown reason, the torchlight shone up above me, which was only about 18 inches above my head, and the whole of the ceiling was a moving mass of cave weather. I'm a foundation member of the Nelson branch of the Deerstalkers Association. I have photos of those of us that were given this at that 1973.
So that's
25 years, because we formed it in 1948.
So the 25 years of the Nelson branch of the Deerstalkers
Association, and to commemorate that, it's a lovely little.
Gordon was here in 1956 and took a photo along this ridge looking out, and I thought about the fact that many different hunters have seen these horizons, walked amongst these horizons, these wild and challenging horizons, and their footprints have gone and they're passing away, and but this land remains, and the Wapiti trails remain, and the Wapiti remain here thanks to the Fiordland Wapiti Foundation. And hunters can come and have trophy hunting moments, not necessarily for trophy animals all of the time, but a trophy hunting experience in Fiordland. Hard hunting, majestic scenery, animals in abundance, and that's a great asset, a great heritage for New Zealand. And following along the trail of Gordon and reliving a little bit of the hardship and the weather and seeing the animals, been a great experience. It's like revisiting a classic hunting experience. A great memory for me, and I hope for the next generation that comes.